Why do some countries go to war while others build peace? Who decides where borders go or why some lives are more valued than others? And how do our daily choices, what we buy, what we eat, where we travel, connect us to people around the world? Hey everyone, I'm Noah Zerby, and this is Political Science 240, Introduction to International Relations. In this course and in this video, we'll begin with a simple question. How do we see the world around us? Because before we can understand global politics, we have to understand the assumptions we bring with us. When I meet my class for the first day, I usually start out with a brainstorming activity where we think about all the ways our daily lives are affected by international relations and global politics. As we compile that list, spanning issues like migration, trade and travel, war and conflict, culture, and more, we start to see the incredibly broad scope that the study of international relations covers. The interactions and relationships between states, organizations, and people at the global level across the political, legal, and economic spheres. By looking at that brainstormed list, we get a glimpse into the wide range of topics and themes we'll be exploring more deeply throughout the course. And we arrive at a variety of important and interesting questions. Why, for example, do states go to war with one another? Why do states trade and cooperate? How do international organizations manage anarchy? How do people affect change at the global level? And what would a just international system look like? And of course, this is just a sample of questions. Countless others are also possible. So, what's my goal for this course? I have two. First, we need to develop an understanding of basic concepts and theories of international relations. This foundational knowledge will serve as the basis for further coursework should you decide to pursue this and other courses in international studies or international relations or other related fields. But secondly, and perhaps more importantly, I want this course to be relevant. I want you to be able to read the international news, understand what's going on, and be able to explain and analyze it. That's why we start each of our class sessions together with a recap of current events of the day. And to that end, I expect you to stay abreast of current events in global politics. The Mercator projection map was developed by the Flemish geographer Gerardus Mercator in 1569. It was designed to aim in maritime navigation and was the most commonly used map throughout most of the 19th and 20th centuries. But it had its limits. Remember that it's impossible to present a globe, a round Earth, on a flat surface, and so trade-offs have to be made. The Mercator projection preserves shapes and angles, which helps with navigation, but it distorts land masses near the poles, making some areas appear far larger than they actually are. Thus, on the Mercator projection, Greenland appears to rival the size of Africa, when in reality, Greenland is about the same size as the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and Africa is about 14 times the size of Greenland. Similarly, Greenland appears to be about 3 times larger than Australia, yet the opposite is true. And Europe appears to be around the same size as Africa on the projection, while in reality, Africa is more than 3 times as large as Europe. This leads people to overestimate the size of regions like Europe and North America, and to underestimate the size of equatorial regions like Africa. More importantly, such misconceptions can subtly influence how individuals perceive the importance or prominence of different regions around the world. During the colonial era, the Mercator projection was the standard map used in many Western countries. This projection not only exaggerated the land size of European nations, but also positions them at the center of the map. This Eurocentric view reinforces a historical narrative where Europe appears larger and thus implicitly more important than it is relative to the other regions. This has cultural and psychological implications, potentially embedding a sense of superiority or dominance that was reflective of and conducive to colonial attitudes and policies. Other projections are also available. While Mercator remained the most common projection throughout the 20th century, the Gall-Peters projection was created by James Gall in 1855 and popularized by Arno Peters in the early 1970s. It was promoted by UNESCO and has been widely used in British schools. Massachusetts became the first state to adopt this map in its school system in March of 2017. The Gall-Peters projection maintains the correct land size area for the continents. Thus, the relative sizes of land masses are correct and can be compared to one another. but it does so at the cost of distorting the shapes and distances between various points on the map. Other projections also exist. For example, the oval projection map has been used for hundreds of years and attempts to create a balance between representing shapes, distances, and relative sizes. But while these maps convey information, they also convey ideology and embed priorities, assumptions, and choices about what we represent in the maps we use. Why, for example, is North always up and Europe usually centered on the world maps we look at? The Earth is a globe, so why is this any more valid or appropriate than this? Or this? The takeaway is that we need to challenge our assumptions and think critically about how we see the world. And that's precisely what we'll aim to do in this class. If we step back, we also get a different picture. Global problems somehow seem less large and I think somehow feel a bit smaller or more manageable when the Earth is viewed from space. After exploring various map projections and understanding their implications, let's expand our view even further, from the surface of the planet to the vantage point of space. The advent of satellite technology not only revolutionized the way we visualize our world, but also had profound effects on globalization and international surveillance. Satellites orbiting the Earth provide us with near real-time images that are pivotal for weather forecasting, environmental monitoring, and disaster response. This technological leap from static maps to dynamic imaging allows us to see the immediate impacts of climate change, urban expansion, and natural catastrophes, offering a crucial tool in global governance and humanitarian efforts. Furthermore, satellite imagery plays a critical role in international relations and security, enabling surveillance across borders and offering unmatched insights into military movements, strategic installations, and compliance with international treaties. This capability has transformed satellites into essential assets in the strategic arsenal of states, not just for national security, but also as tools of diplomacy and international oversight. This photo was taken by Apollo 11 astronauts and shows the Earth rising over the lunar horizon. What does this image tell us about global politics? I think there are a number of possible questions it prompts us to consider, but the first one that comes up for me is always, where are the boundaries? Where are the states, and are they even relevant? Writing on his feelings on viewing Earth from the International Space Station in 2008, astronaut Ron Garan wrote, "As I approached the top of this arc, it was as if time stood still, and I was flooded with emotions and awareness. But as I looked down at the Earth, this stunning, fragile oasis, this island that has been given to us and that has protected all life from the harshness of space, a sadness came over me and I was hit in the gut by an undeniable and sobering contradiction. In spite of the overwhelming beauty of this scene, serious inequality exists on this apparent paradise we have been given. I couldn't help but thinking of the nearly 1 billion people who don't have clean water to drink, the countless number who go to bed hungry every night, the social injustice, conflicts, and poverty that remain pervasive across the planet. Seeing the Earth from this vantage point gave me a unique perspective, something I've come to call the orbital perspective. Part of this realization is that we're all traveling together on this planet, and that if we looked out at the world from that perspective, we would see that nothing is impossible. This perspective highlights the interconnectedness that underpins concepts like global trade, environmental crises, and international cooperation. We can also think about why we were on the moon in the first place. Remember that American efforts to reach the moon were very much an outgrowth of the Cold War tension and the international rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union. We went to the moon, at least in part, as an effort to demonstrate the superiority of American capitalism over Soviet communism. Or maybe we ask how space is regulated today. Is it the common heritage of humanity, or does it belong to the country that explores it? And for that matter, what role do private corporations like SpaceX play, or international organizations like the United Nations? The important takeaway is that international relations is everywhere, and that we should be cautious about thinking about both the assumptions we bring with us and be open-minded regarding the questions we ask. That's it for now. Thanks everyone, and have a good day.